Well, one of my favorite pastimes is adding fractions, so let's share in this time together. When we add fractions, we must have a common denominator. So when we're thinking about the fractions, right, we're adding these together, it is these bottom numbers that must be the same. So part of that is because it's kind of like when people say it's like adding apples and oranges. This is the idea, right? Both of these need to be the same because we want to add apples or we want to add oranges, but we can't add those together. So it is possible that we might have to create equivalent fractions as needed, and we'll talk through how to do that. So if we look at a problem here, 2/7 plus 1/7, we can see here that the denominators are both sevenths. That's good. That means, okay, I am playing with sevenths. My denominator is that. Think of this as pizza. I have two pizzas. Each were cut originally into 7 slices. In the first pizza, we have 2 left. In the second pizza, we have 1 left. If I put those together to create one pizza, out of 7 total slices, we have 3 left. Right, so this is the idea where we keep the denominator the same, and we add the numerator. So 2 plus 1 is 3, denominator stays the same, my answer is 3/7. If I have 3/14 plus 5/14, again, we see denominators are the same. And this is exactly how I do these problems, right? I notice the bottom, or the denominator is the same, so I write that down. Then I go to the numerator and say, okay, 3 plus 5 is 8. Now, when you see the fraction 8/14, I hope alarm bells start going off in your head because these numbers are both even. So right away, we can see that they have a common factor. So it's important that if we have common factors, we simplify, or sometimes people say we reduce. So I am going to say, okay, since they are both reducible by 2, I'm going to divide the numerator and the denominator by 2. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. 14 divided by 2 is 7, and my simplified fraction is 4/7. General rule of thumb, you always want to reduce fractions. Now let's get into some fractions where our denominators are not the same. So if I have 2/3 plus 1/8, okay, so boom, 3 and 8, not the same. So now we want to think, what number do 3 and 8 both go into evenly? And if you can't think of one, just multiply those two together. So 3 and 8 both go into 24. So I want to create an equivalent problem where they both have a denominator of 24. So let's look at our left fraction. If I take 3 times 8, I get 24, which means I do the same thing to the numerator, and I have 2 times 8, which is 16. So that is called an equivalent fraction. We do the same thing on the right side. So 8 times 3 is 24. So I take 1 times 3, which gives me 3. Now I can look at my second problem where my denominators are the same. They're both 24. I add the numerator, 16 plus 3 is 19. So my answer is 19/24. 1/4 plus 2/5. Again, I look at my denominators, 4 and 5. 4 and 5 both go evenly into 20. So I create equivalent fractions. If you are a visual learner, then write these things down, right? Because 4 times 5 is 20. So 1 times 5 gives me 5. Again, this is how I do it. I write everything down because I'm less likely to make a mistake that way. 5 times 4 is 20. So 2 times 4 is 8. Now I'm ready with common denominator of 20. I add 5 plus 8, and that gives me 13. So my answer would be 13/20. I've got 2 more for us. 5/6 plus 1/10. Now in this one, if you multiply the denominators and get 6 times 10 is 60, that works, but it's going to be bigger, and you're going to have to reduce at the end for sure. But this one, I can say, well, 6 and 10 both go into 30. So I just want to point out that 60 is not a wrong answer. Okay, you'll still get the final answer at the end. You'll just have to reduce more than if we just used 30. Okay, so if I'm using 30, 6 times 5 is 30. So 5 times 5 is 25. And 10 times 3 is 30. So 1 times 3 is 28. Nope. 1 times 3 is 3. Sorry, I'm ahead of myself here. So now when my common denominator is 30 and I add 25 plus 3, I get 28. So there's the 28. Now you'll notice 28 over 30, again, both even. So because they're both even, we can divide the top and the bottom by 2, and I end up with a reduced fraction of 14 over 15. And let's do one more. Here we have 7/12 plus 1/3. You're going to notice that 12 and 3 both go into 12. So this is one where we'll only have to change one of the fractions. So in the left side, 12 times 1 is 12, so 7 times 1 is 7. That fraction is staying exactly the same. And then on the right side, 3 times 4 is 12, so 1 times 4 gives me 4. Now when I add, my denominator stays the same, and 7 plus 4 is 11. So make sure that you're writing things down. I really find that the more I write things down, the fewer mistakes I make, because I can see exactly what's happening. And the more you can see it, the easier it is to understand it, follow your steps, and all of those things.